Hello everybody, this is Albert with Green Tea House. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about tea cocktails, what are they, how to do them, and so forth. Now before we begin, I highly recommend you check out our back catalog of episodes, and also I'll put some episodes here that are germane to this one. So what's a tea cocktail? As the name would suggest, it's mixing alcohol with either a tea or a tisane. I mean, they've been doing this for quite some time. There used to be a drink called Gunfire that was made by the British Navy that was essentially black tea and rum. These are two things that were very accessible to the British Navy. We talked about in the history of tea episode how, of course, the British really stole everything from China and grew a lot of tea in their colonies, in particular India and Sri Lanka. And so that we had this surplus of black tea, and then they also had a surplus of rum from the Caribbean. So this was a very common drink. So we've been doing tea cocktails for some time. Now I want to be clear, I don't drink, I barely ever drink alcohol. Maybe I'll have a glass or two of wine a month. I am not a drinker at all. But again, I'm not going to judge anybody who does drink. And so if you're a lover of tea and you're also a lover of the liquor, that's fine. There's tons of combinations that are out there, and you'll find tons of different recipes online, but I just wanted to give you a little guide, little primer on ways you can do this. As a whole, when you're looking at tea cocktails, there's a couple things you need to look at. Will the liquor that you're using really blend well with the tea that you're using? And you can go to bars that will offer tea cocktails and just understand, like, they don't know anything about tea, right? It's just like when you go to a coffee shop and you order a green tea, they're probably going to over steep it and put it too hot of a temperature because they don't know any better. So I would not be going to a bar, even a bar that offers tea cocktails, and expect it to be good, because most of the time these mixologists or baristas, whatever you want to call them, bartenders, don't really know anything about tea. So if you like the idea of, I'm going to mix alcohol and mix tea, do it at home. So what are some things you should do? As a whole, like with regular tea, the amount of tea leaves you're going to use, which types of tea leaves you're going to use, whether or not you're going to hot steep it or cold brew it is important as well. And then the steeping times. These are all important factors because, again, we're using tea. We know tea is heavily influenced by these factors. What I will tell you is that probably the green teas are not the best teas to mix with alcohol. I would tell you probably go to the black teas, but then the black teas need to be paired correctly. And I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can do it. And look, you can find tons of recipes online on tea cocktails. And I think the best thing to do is just do trial and error. What I would tell you if you're going to do tea cocktails is cold brew it, because as a whole, we know when you cold brew, we have a 2-part episode on how to cold brew your teas. We know when you cold brew tea, one thing it's going to do, it's going to have less caffeine, but also what it's going to do is going to make the taste smoother, and it's not going to be as bitter. And we know that when you steep tea in hot water, there's great benefits to it, but one of them, especially the lighter teas, they can get really bitter if you're not steeping it at the right temperature. And they also have higher caffeine. So if you cold brew tea, and especially if you're drinking a tea cocktail at night, which most people probably are, it's going to have less caffeine, so it won't affect your sleep as adversely, but it also makes the drink, whatever you pair it with, whatever alcohol you pair it with, it's going to make it more mellow. So what are some things that you can do? What are some classic teas that you can kind of blend? A classic one would be something with chai. Chai as a whole does very well. So some people do chai and rum. That's a really good combination because you just think of the flavor profile of rum, you think of the flavor profile that's in a masala chai. We offer 2 chais. We offer a Thai chai that has the classic masala Indian ingredients like cardamom and clove and cinnamon, but it also has turmeric. So you can do a chai, like a masala chai with rum. That's pretty common. Then you think of Earl Grey and gin. Earl Grey is a black with bergamot essence, and that one with gin is a pretty well-known combination. So you notice on 2 of these, no one's doing like a gyokuro with sake. It's typically either going to be like a scented, naturally scented tea, like a jasmine or like an Earl Grey or one of these, and then you're mixing it with a liquor that blends well with that particular spice. So I'm going to just roll off some relatively well-known ones, and these are just combinations, but you would just do mostly trial and error. But you could do something like, as I mentioned, Earl Grey with gin and honey and some citrus. You could do a hibiscus. You can do herbals, of course, as a tea cocktail. So you can do like a hibiscus with cognac. You could do a vermouth with some tea, like some peppermint, of course, like a mint julep tea, iced tea, hot tea. That's going to be a natural one. And also, you can buy any of these. If you can buy alcoholic tea that comes in cans, you can do that as well. But I mean, I wouldn't really drink alcoholic tea like that. It's just alcoholic iced tea, and it's not going to come out as well. I'd recommend that if you really want to drink an alcoholic tea, make it at home and use the actual hard liquors. You could do those. As I mentioned, you could do like an orange spice tea with rum. That's another tisane that's pretty popular. And it's just, there's you can do, again, matcha with Irish whiskey. You could do a chai, as I mentioned, with some other spices. And you could do a tulsi, which is holy basil from India. We sell it in the form of shanti. You can do that with gin. You could do Lapsang Souchong, which is a very well-known smoky black tea. You can mix that with scotch. The list goes on and on. So the best thing about this, if you like these two pairings of Camellia sinensis or tisanes with alcohol, is just have fun, experiment, and find flavors that work for you. Find recipes online that you think might be entertaining because you like that particular liquor or you like that particular tea. And just try it out and find ones that you really like and enjoy, and of course, drink responsibly. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you've ever done any tea cocktails. Until next time, take care and God bless.